Hi everyone. So I wanted to make this video. Obviously, none of you know who I am. I don't go on Reddit or anything, but I wanted to make this video just to sort of showcase some of the things that I think are wrong and like almost glaringly wrong. And so I'm just gonna go through a game of talkers and just sort of point stuff out. There's a bunch of things already on screen that are wrong and that I think could be fixed. And I'm going to nitpick. I think for the past like years and years of TFT's existence, I've sort of had some of these nitpicks, like, but I haven't felt the need to point them out because they're so small. But now with the engine changing, there's so many things that like they all add up together and make the game feel bad. So as I go, I'm just going to point out things. And already, as I move my character, you're seeing one of them. If I move my character and then I stop my movement with the S key like you do in League, right? So I'll do this and then I'll stop. My character just moves around for no reason, really. And it starts, it goes this direction, and then it turns this direction, neither of which are the direction that I was facing when I stopped. I get it's not the same engine with the same like movement and stuff, but like, come on. There's a few other things that I'm already seeing on screen that I'm not a particularly huge fan of. The art on the belt looks really blurry for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. This is one of the little nitpicks, this little seam on the map. Like, I know this was there before, but again, I told you I'm nitpicking, right? Like with the new engine, it seems like a good time to clean stuff up like this, but it hasn't been. The fire is also extremely pixelated. The engine could have been a great opportunity to fix some of these like small graphical infidelities and make the game look really, really polished, but instead here we are. Another thing we can look at is the shadows, and this sort of brings up the issue of the graphics menu. This does not work for me. This is not acceptable, I think. I liked to play without shadows. I don't really like shadows. I find them distracting. So I would turn them off, but obviously you can't do that anymore. I would also alter the color settings through League settings, which you can do, which is nice. I changed the color, the saturation, the contrast, all that kind of stuff. I changed that in League of Legends, but you can't do that anymore, which I think is really unfortunate. It also, there doesn't seem to be any sort of colorblind mode, which I think is also a huge mistake. So that's sort of strange to me. Now, in my team planner, there's tons of issues here. First of all, these icons are sort of blurry. Unfortunate. Could have been crisp. Like the art here, super crisp. Love that. But like these icons, for some reason, blurry. Don't know why. Another thing in the filter, again, I'm nitpicking, but like this is one of those things that just make the game feel unpolished. These icons all look like this until you mouse over them. And then you can see it's changed the color of the icon to what it should be when it's not selected. And then you click it, obviously. And then when you go back in, it resets that, right? All of them are now there's like this weird, like blurry gray instead of, this is what it should look like. Another big one that I happen to notice is this. What is this massive space here? What is this? There's one here too. It is insane. And if I exit my team planner and go back in, it resets my filters, which is really annoying when it's really annoying when you're planning it and then you have to pop out to do augments or something. We're also awesomely demonstrating another little bug here with Camille. I mean, this isn't the biggest issue because this is something that happens in a lot of menus and a lot of games, but that's kind of funny to see. So yes, some issues there. I also do want to point out quickly the boot symbol for your last opponent is comical, but I mean, really, this is something I see in multiplayer too. This isn't just an issue for talkers, by the way. This is something I see in multiplayer as well. That's kind of annoying. I'm also going to point out some things that like just don't work in talkers trials. Because I think this game mode gets overlooked a lot of the time, and I think it's kind of unfortunate. So I'm going to point out some of that stuff too, because that also sort of frustrates me. Okay, so now I want to talk about items, and also a bit more about the health bar too. The health bar looks blurry. The little tier symbol, this bronze thing, it looks good. That one looks fine, but like the top of this health bar, it looks blurry. I don't know what it is, but it looks wrong. It just looks wrong, and it's that look that I think contributes to the unpolished feel. I also want to talk about the items in here, right? When you're moving an item around like this, it looks janky. It looks like it's teleporting those like little like small tiny bits of movement at a time, right? Those millimeters at a time. Doesn't look good. This works just fine. That's not a problem. The item flickering here, though, is kind of annoying. Again, I am nitpicking. I get that. But, like, these are small things that make the game feel unpolished. Also, you'll see, I think sometimes it's more apparent than others, but when you equip items or when you gain items or when you choose items from an armory, they will flicker in your inventory as something slightly different. So I've seen this sometimes where I'll like choose a jeweled gauntlet and it'll show up in there for just a split second as a spear shojin. Don't know why. Okay. So choosing augments. First of all, what you might have just saw there, which I might have to replay slowly, but what you just saw there is when you click on an augment for the first time in a while, you'll see the text of the augment just sort of float up to the middle. This whole sort of window looks really comically bad. This icon looks too big. Like the square looks too big and the icon looks too small in the square, right? It has a huge, massive border on it. I like borders, but like, man, that is a thick border. The text feels really small. There's so much empty space. Like this menu just looks bad to me. This also, like these orbs look respectfully like garbage, right? It looks like they're designed to look like they're moving, but they're not actually moving. Like you can see their texture is like swirling a little bit in here, but like these orbs are designed to look like they're spinning all around and spinning quickly. But they don't look like that. It seems like if you're doing this in Unreal Engine, you would be able to make these orbs look really good. And unfortunately, they just don't. I also have a problem with the orbs in terms of getting stuff out of them. It looks really bad. The effects are pretty lame. Just the little shoop, shoop. Even the coins, I think the coins look worse. I think collecting the coins looks worse. I don't know what it is, but I think the effect looks worse. So yeah, that's some of the stuff on the orbs. I will also comment that like in multiplayer, when you fight some of the PvE rounds, the orbs are actually physically on the board before you can even see them, which is kind of weird. So you'll like pick up something that you can't even see, or your character will just start moving quickly towards something that, again, you can't see. The orb is there, but like it just doesn't show up physically. Or I guess visually. It is there physically, but not visually. Okay, very small thing here. These pop-ups for the score in Talker's Trial, there's this weird empty space at the top, and then it uses the win streak icon. Again, it just feels left behind, unthought of. Also, this text just goes straight off the screen. So, you know. Okay, I will say, some bonuses here. I do want to point out some of the good. The fact that the tooltips update in real time is actually really cool. I do appreciate that. You can see the numbers change in real time if their stats change during the fight. I do like that. That is cool. I am going to take a hit to the tooltips though. I just think it's kind of ugly. Again, I'm nitpicking, but like there's no margin on the icon for the ability. Everything else in this game has like a really thick border, like the items, but this one just has none for some reason. There's also a lot of blank space at the name, at the title of the ability. Again, nitpicking. Also, what just happened there is when you upgrade a champion, the 2 champions on your bench count as dying, which is really weird. You could actually hear the death sound as I upgraded Leona. And I saw yesterday while I was playing this game in multiplayer, I upgraded Yorick, and when the 2 Yoriks on my bench died to combine into one, they left behind the Yorick passive guy, his summon when he dies. So that's an interesting little quirk. Okay, so I believe this is just a Talker's Trials thing, but when you open an armory, the fight button acts as if the armory isn't like the shop, and so it just overlays itself on top of the armory, whereas usually if there's a shop down here, the fight button's all the way over here. So just like a little quirk. Also, I do want to point this out here. I've seen this with Varus too. the animation for auto attacking just looks really weird. Like she's jerking all over the place. Her animation isn't fluid as it is in League. I noticed that with Varus. It is especially noticeable with Varus. In fact, it looks horrific. His auto attack animation is absolutely terrible. Also, it's kind of weird that it like resets the shop's glowing effect whenever you sell something or even like buy something. Like it's sort of like recalculates what you're looking at in your shop. A little strange. Something else I'm going to point out is as I'm watching these fights, I'm realizing actually there's a really good example here. There no longer seems to be an effect for the gunblade healing, which I wish there was. It was helpful to know like where that healing was going, and also seeing the effect makes it feel like the item is more impactful, which I know is just like a visual thing, but gamers like seeing effects, so might as well throw that back in there. The other thing is I know it was sort of archaic because it used to be like a whole trait, in set one, but like Dragon's Claw has no bubble anymore, and I think everyone loves the Dragon's Claw bubble. That thing looked awesome, but no Dragon's Claw bubble anymore, I guess. Also, another positive I want to point out, I really like Ivern. I really like his design. It's so fun. I think it's super fun. But that's coming from a casual player. I have no idea what competitive players think about it, but I like him. I think he's cool. He's kind of goofy. Another thing, this text for the Talker's Trials things, I don't mind it. I think it's totally fine. But like it does feel a little imposing with like how far down from this top bar it is. Like I feel like it could be lower or like higher than that. And also the background being completely opaque, just like it looks kind of weird. Just putting that out there. Oh, also one thing that I can't point out here, the chat just doesn't work. Like in multiplayer, the chat just straight up doesn't work. At least for me. This is one thing that I want to point out for talkers in specific. This appearing as the last augment of the game is kind of silly. I almost want to pick it just to see if it works retroactively. And another thing, augments like this usually don't work. I've picked Clear Mind before in Talkers and usually doesn't work because it doesn't consider it player combat. So stuff like this usually just simply doesn't work in this game mode. So I'll pick this and just see if it works. And it does not. So, don't really know why that's offered here, but there it is. Completely useless. All right, and my very last nitpick is actually this ending screen. This used to be like a nice score breakdown, and unfortunately is no longer. It also seems like they lowered the requirement for the like prismatic 5-star rating, which is sort of unfortunate. It seems like no matter how well you perform, you kind of just get 640,000 points now. Not sure what the deal with that is. Just seems to be the average, and there's not really a good way to get a point breakdown on that anymore. So those are my nitpicks from the small things to the big things. Just what I noticed playing Talker's Trials, and that's not even mentioning the fact that just like moving around and like playing the game doesn't feel very good. So yeah, just my thoughts on it.